Like, how would you negotiate it in today's time?
Well,
With today's
I mean,
climate.
I did in the most expensive state in the. I'm a native Californian. I got the hell out of there. I live in Mississippi now, but I was a school teacher, single income,
Yeah.
7 kids now, but I had 6 kids there. You just scrimp. And you said 18% of men are able to live
Yeah.
off of income. No, only 18% of men do live off of a single
Yeah.
income.
No, only that's what I should say. Or only 18% of couples are able to live off of one. Or
Do
18% of couples do live off of one income.
yeah, choose to.
Choose
Oh,
to.
okay. Well, I mean, yeah, they're condemned by the vast enrichment of the cultural West. The decadent array of riches and wealth that have basically blinded Western civilization. This is a standard of living that people think they're owed, and it's absurd, and it's utterly boomer. It's fucking boomer. You need
Yeah.
you don't need 2 cars. If you have a big enough car, you just need one, particularly if your wife is at home homeschooling the kids. You don't need 3 vacations and like 12 a TV in every room.
Yeah.
When I was in that position, living in the most expensive state in the union, we lived fine. We took a vacation a year. I was a school teacher. So it's 18% of men choose to live that way because they're cucks. Their wives don't listen to them. There's a kind of spiritual ressentiment, as Nietzsche would say, a kind of dissimulation. Their wives rule them. They live this putrid, pathetic, pusillanimous life out in the suburbs. Remember Thoreau said most men live lives of quiet desperation. Well, most of these guys out in the burbs are living lives of reasonably voluminous desperation because they're being henpecked by mannish wives. They're really condemned by functional gender dysphoria. Their wives act like the men, they act like the women. So they figure, well, I might as well have my comforts, and they have their on. I don't have wifely respect. I'm not treated like a lord around my manor. I mean, my answer to that question, Glenn, is I don't know. Bob Cratchit, one of the most noble characters in all of literature, is a poor man in Christmas Carol, Dickens' classic tale, and he's beloved by his wife, he's beloved by his kids, and he's basically a saint. He's a Protestant saint, and he's one of my favorite guys in all of literature, and he's poor. So Cardinal Sarah, one of the good cardinals in my church, says poverty's good, destitution's bad. We don't want people eating dirt, but living like Bob Cratchit and his family is sanctifying. And if these cucked men out in the suburbs just want to sort of pimp their wives out in the workplace, and the red pill, generally speaking, does support that, a kind of cuckoldry where a man is cucked by his wife's boss, where the boss can really say, work late on my yacht tonight at a moment's notice. The man doesn't have full patriarchal power over his family.
It seems like there's like there's a divide on that topic, right? Because I know several guys in the red pill. It's like, if you're not being able to provide for your family, then if she's working, then you don't get to say so. Cool. you forfeit that authority, because you failed to provide. You know. So I think like there's they say that you should be the sole provider. You want to be the sole provider. But I do know Aaron, and I do know Paul Elam, and pretty well myself. And I understand like they're not even getting married. These guys are just going to be dating their whole lives.
Yeah, they're both nice guys.
Aaron Clary is great. I was talking to him this morning.
Yeah, I'm sure your buddies and they both seem like genuinely good dudes to get a beer with. That's not my point. And again, I'm not to rouse. I'm just saying that's legitimately feminist. I mean, feminism really didn't begin in the 60s. That's a nonsense.
Yeah, it started 1846. That's when it started, and it was even before then. Actually, I say it goes back to Genesis. All right, Genesis 3:16 from the pain from childbearing and the desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you. Right there, that was where feminism started. The desire to control them. That was when the harmonious relationship between man and woman were no longer going to be in place. So,
no, check this out, Glenn. It began even a page before that, when I think in chapter 2, when functional gender dysphoria, Adam let his wife answer the door to the serpent and discourse.
Yeah.
And St. John Chrysostom talks about this, because woman's not fit to do that. Adam was acting like the passive part, the woman, and Eve acted like the man, and therefore all of mankind has to die because woman decided. That's a direct quote from John Chrysostom. So the curse of Adam and Eve reflects that functional gender dysphoria
that we see now.
Adam acting like the bitch.
Yep. And that's what we see now.
That's what we see. And so, but the curse wasn't the beginning. The curse was a self-curse, like all curses in Christianity. Yeah. The curse was the beginning. So just to put the cap on it. So like working the porneia, the whole porneia aspect. I said, look, I can't even go on whatever. I'm not a fucking prude, but I love one woman. I have eyes only for one woman. I've been married almost 20 years. I'm not going to go on whatever. We're going to have to go on, do this on Fresh and Fit. None of the whores festooning the thing, because that's not good for anyone. I don't want that. I don't want that eye candy hanging around. So you got the porneia, you got the women working, you got the contraceptive angle where like really men, again, out of a desire for comfort and to subvert the purpose of patriarchy, which is family, they literally allow themselves to be cucked by a physical block, like a condom or like that. That's the ultimate feminist act, to block a man's seed from entering her. And there are a couple other things, but those are the really three main issues that are big by prescriptions. But yeah, I'll join with Red Pill any time of the day, making fun of femoids getting up in front of the screen and pretending.
The way I look at it is like this: the Red Pill tells you what is the problem.
Yeah.
And then the Bible tells you what to do about the problem.
I like it.
If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like it's like, and I stole that from Pastor Mike Foster. I think he was going to be one of the four, because me and Mike have talked. We're friends.
Good dude. Yep.
Joel Webbin as well. I've talked with Joel Webbin. So it's like I just the idea of the saying that was the male version of feminism. When it came to like them saying like, okay, don't get married, right? I knew what they were saying, like don't get married the way through the state, like get a covenantal marriage is the ideal way to do it. If you could find a church that would do it covenantally, but don't do it with the state. What are your thoughts with that? Like about like, hey, don't get in a marriage contract with the state. Just do it with your church.
Well, I would say, as you noted earlier, Aaron Clarey, Paul Elam, I think both those guys mean it. They're just going to have a common law marriage for life, according to what they say. I don't know about Myron Gaines. I don't think he's married. I think Rollo is.
Rollo's married. I think he's going to be almost 28 years this year.
Yeah, concept of dread notwithstanding, he's married still. So I would say this, that our Lord, at the wedding feast of Cana, our Lord, I'll use the language of the fathers, elevated the covenant of marriage to the dignity of a sacrament. So that became a sacrament, was at the wedding feast of Cana. And so it has a higher level of dignity than even one of the old sort of Jew covenants from the Old Testament. Now it's this new, mysterium thing. Mysterium in the Greek, sacramentum in the Latin. So now marriage has this new high meaning. It's a font of grace, one of the 7 primary fonts of grace, the sacraments, and it's the only sacramental path that represents a fork in the road, where you either become married in ordinary cases, or you become ordained. And it's the lower life. It's the more common life. It just takes a very special few to, join the order of Melchizedek and become an ordained priest that can consecrate our Lord's body and blood from a Eucharistic host. Mm-hmm. But men opt for it. I always knew I like women way too much, and I like just being with people way too much for that special life, that anointed, set aside class of priests, the priestly class. So marriage is even in the Catholic Church, which I know everyone in your audience is like, wow, they have a lot of rules. An ordinary marriage, it was called a natural marriage, even if it's done by 2 Christians, even just Protestants, outside outside of the church, because they're not Catholic, but if they're two baptized persons, because of the natural light of reason written on the hearts, the natural law, they have enough of a natural apprehension of what marriage is, that it's for life, that it's for family, it's for children. And that's that natural marriage, even outside of the strictly sacramental context that is uniquely Catholic or Orthodox, is enough to count. So when people say don't tangle with marriage, it's an equivocal term to be married. What does it mean for a secular person? What does it mean for a Protestant person? Or on the third hand, what does it mean for an Orthodox or a Catholic person? We're pretty much the same, because they have the 7 sacraments and bishops and priests just like we do. And so, it's an equivocal term, which causes a little confusion. But I would say, broadly speaking, the way the average, IQ 97 moron out there apprehends things, listens to things, we call this modalism, according to the mode of the receiver. That's just a dangerous, shitty thing to tell young men, because young men are horny. They like women, the ones that are
straight.
The ones that are straight. They haven't been.
they haven't taken their tea.
Yeah, they don't. Well, hey, I'm a straight man that's always loved tea, but I take it with a lot of sugar, so it's straight. The point is, if you tell about a lot of young men that, they're just going to go around laying pipe, which I think some of the red pill guys like Myron Gaines just straight up say to do. But even the ones that don't say it outright are implying it by don't get married, but hey, keep being straight. And that is explicitly anti-patriarchal, because patriarchy means the holy context of the Holy Family, that's been raised to the level of a sacrament by holy matrimony at the wedding feast of Cana. So I don't see many other ways to take it. Outside of, hey, porneia is good, fornicate, because these guys sure as shit are not preaching lifelong celibacy.
No, they're not. Well, I'm talking about, like, what are your thoughts more like, okay, don't get married with the state. Do it covenantal marriage. Do it with your church, or, like, because nowhere in the Bible does it say thou shalt get married with thy state.
No, but I'm not. I don't have a problem with the kind of libertarian take in that sense. If you're getting married with the church, that's what matters. But the church does, Christ did say, render to Caesar what Caesar's and to God what God's. And so the church.
That was more for regarding taxes and money. So,
but no, it's a broad admonition. It might be specifically applicable most often to schemes of taxation, but it's broadly applicable, and we just have to consider. I don't have strong opinion one way or the other. If someone is monogamous and a Christian and married to another Christian and gets married with their church and it's like, I want to keep this off the books, I don't think this is the typical case. I don't think this is the typical application of what, like, a Myron Gaines is saying. When he don't get married till you've slept with 51. I don't have a big problem with it. I think it's an open theological question, the extent to which a Christian can be libertarian like that. But I don't have the allergic response that I have to 99% of the other people that are receiving such
that would be my option, because it's in between. All right, it's in between. Like, I'm not telling guys not to get married, but I'm also telling guys, like, hey, I understand the state is the way the state is right now. Until the laws get changed, get married through covenantal marriage to your priest or your pastor in your church. And because, again, that's the only thing that matters. The license doesn't matter as much as the commitment in the covenant and the sacrament you're making with God. Right?
Yeah. I don't have a big problem with that.